Welcome to the Dave It Yourself channel, the home of unique RC creations and unique RC views. Dave It Yourself, stick around. Hey friends, it's Dave here with Creative Drones on the Dave It Yourself channel. I'm coming back to you here today with the F4 that I had wrecked, that I've done some repairs to, and I apologize I did not film the repairs, but I left them as is so you can see what we're working with. They're not complete, but they are at the point where a test flight can be done. Also show you exactly what I've done with the Night Radiant here and how I attached all of this. Same premise for my repairs as I do for my attachments for the pontoons. But since I didn't film that, I will show you the type of tools that I use, and I will use a damaged Aero Scout wing, and I will show you the type of repairs that we do here on the channel on something like that. So if you want to see exactly how all that works out, well, I recommend that you stick around. Alright friends, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start off by showing you some of the tools that I usually use. And starting off with some of the materials, like this is that squishy foam I was telling you about that you find in some packing boxes. A lot of times with RC trucks, things like this. I think this came from a boat. But anyway, so this type of foam I like to use. You can utilize, here's the paper tape I like to use. This is a 2-pack you get at Walmart for less than $3. This is by far the cheapest that I have seen anywhere. So that's where I get that. Some of you might have access to a foam cutting tool. This is an electric job that I got, I think, at like Northern Tool and Supply or something like that. Plugs, you push the trigger to get it to work, you let go. That's a pretty good little tool. Also have a heat sealing iron for putting, it's a Hanger 9 unit from putting sealant on planes, balsa planes. Here I use it for melting down glue repairs and things like that, and we'll do that, some of that here to smooth some of that out. So that's what I use that for. Of course, the glue gun, glue sticks I'm using, I believe, are the Gorilla glue sticks. Also, having an old plastic card of some type is also good. I don't usually use gloves when I'm working with hot glue, only because it sticks to the glove so easily. So to prevent myself from getting burned when I'm wiping, you can either use a piece of spare foam or a wet paper towel, smooth over it kind of thing, and it will cool it down as well as wipe off the mess. And then of course scissors. This is a foam knife for use with cutting foam, and then this is actually just a regular knife. So we will go over how I do those types of repairs, and we'll actually do some repair process on the Aero Scout wing to show you exactly what I do with these tools to do that. But first, what I want to do is go over a couple of things that you've already seen on the channel. And that one of those being the F4, of course, the most recent plane that I put out. Had a crash video with it, and this is at the point of the repair. I haven't done any touch-up paint. I've only done some minor repair type stuff. And I'll show you exactly how I do that. Now, let's start with... Alright, so first we're going to start with letting me show you exactly how I utilize these types of tools here to do something like put pontoons on the Aero Scout. So let's go ahead and grab that. There we go. Now we've got the Night Radiant out with the pontoons that I had on it. That video did real well. If you haven't seen it, go back and check it out. I'll put a little card right up here in the corner for that. But here it is, and basically what I've done is I've utilized the same tools that I have here. I've utilized squishy foam, paper tape, and hot glue. Okay, that's all I did here. So what I did was I took some of that squishy tape and made basically some foam bridges here. All right, so that's what I've got going on there. Just some of that squishy tape, made some foam bridges. From there, to attach the foam bridges to the plane, I took some of the paper tape and made basically put a little band of paper tape on the plane itself. Then I went ahead and utilized some of the hot glue and did some of that thin coat smearing to kind of give it that rubbery texture on the plane. Took the foam that I cut out in that shape, put a piece of tape on the inside of the foam, did the same thing with the hot glue smear, make it kind of rubbery there, so those two are basically a rubbery contact point. Put one good bead of hot glue in there, smush those two together, done, okay? Same thing here on the back, did the exact same process. Now to attach the actual metal parts, as you can see, they're still exposed, you can still see them, but same process. Put the paper tape down, put some of the paper tape over the actual metal items, hot glued them, put more paper tape down, hot glued them some more, and smeared it firm. And just with the paper tape and the hot glue, that mofo ain't going nowhere. But the cool thing about it is, if I want to take them off, you get into the hot glue here, and you can peel it back with the paper tape that's under there. And you have to work it a little bit, but there you go. You just start peeling it back, and there you go. You can peel the entire thing right off, both sides. If you have coating on your plane, it might pull off some of the coating. Here you see I have some tape on the plane that it's pulling off here, but it's not really damaging the foam. But anyway, then you put it back on, you just hot glue it right back on, bada bing, you're done. You're good to go. So that's how nice and firm that is. So that's what I did to adhere the pontoons on the night radian here. So let's move on to the Phantom F4. There we go. Okay, so with the Phantom F4, same kind of process, same materials, okay? Still with the squishy foam, still with the paper tape, still with the hot glue. Now, with the hot glue, my particular hot glue gun has two settings. It's got high and low. I normally leave it on high when I'm doing these types of repairs. What I do is, this particular part, you can basically still see it because the paint is the dark foam and then the white is the new foam and the paper tape and stuff like that. So you can see where the gouges in the actual foam were. So what I did was cut a piece of foam that was about that size, okay? This one also had this little notch right here, so I did kind of carve the foam out just a little bit. It does not have to be perfect, because what you do is, after you cut it out to the right size, and it can stick out as far as you want because you'll come back and cut it off. But what I do is I use the hot glue on the high temperature, put it on here. When it does, it actually melts this foam a little bit. So once you shove that into the foam there, it basically contours into the foam. The hot glue melting it, you hold it in place. Any hot glue that squirts out, you can take a piece of paper tape, put over it, smooth it flat, and then you'll have a nice part adherence there. And then from there, by utilizing either this knife or the one that I dropped on the ground, and then after utilizing something like that, say it's stuck on like that, then you just come along with your knife, cut it flat, okay, as flat as you can, and then from there, again, cut it flat, okay? And then from there, take your paper tape, cover it, hot glue, go over it with the tip of the gun to kind of give it a nice contour. When the hot glue forms, you've got a nice firm spot there that's still semi-flexible, just like the foam itself, but it's going to contour, it's going to be the right pitch. Only thing I need to do here is smooth it out a little bit more in some of these spots, and that's where I'll utilize this gun with some tin foil to do that. The wheel itself underneath here did pop through, so really from there all I did was just pull this part back, hot glue inside there on a lower setting, not the super high setting, and then hold it flat, and then that's where something like the card comes in handy, because you can just set it on top, hold it flat like that, and get good pressure around that firm seal, and you can kind of see it's about as flat as it's going to get there. So that's good. And then from there, I'm not going to worry too much about the creases right here. I had the plane polyurethaned and Mod Podged a ton, so that's why the wings didn't break off. It's still a pretty sturdy plane. It just did break off some of the, you know, just some of these little tips right here. So same thing, this piece was kind of chunked out here. I took a smaller piece of the foam that I had cut out from here. Same process, hot glue, fit it in there, paper tape, kind of make it into that point. And same thing with there. This one just had more ripped out. You can see where the was here, where that was just a little corner. This was like a large chunk. So same kind of thing, had to fill that and fix that. And then that's really all I had going on with the top, except for some of the scrapage right here. And then for underneath, this was a little bit more of a challenge. This landing gear got ripped out. It ripped off the little black pin connector that was inside. So, I mean, it just ripped the wire completely apart. So what I did was I took another servo plug-in that I had scrap, and just threaded them together kind of thing. Wire tape around there, and then this was actually a chunk of foam that had actually broken out when the wheel came out, so I just shoved everything back into the hole here, made sure the connectors were right, and now I've got this working again. I just went ahead and hot glued this bad boy back in place. This bad boy right here also was loose, did not come out, but was loose, so I went ahead fit that back in with some hot glue, and then here I had some hot glue kind of seep out on the side, so I went back with the paper tape to kind of form that, and that'll be a impervious seal. That'll be perfect there. I did get the RunCam 2 mount off, as you can see. It did not really damage the foam, just a little bit here from that corner. The main thing it did is it took off the polyurethane coat as well as the paint tinting that I did here, so it kind of cleaned that. But if I put it back in there as I had it before, it's actually just a really great fit, and I'll probably just put it back and do some touch-up paint. But it actually ran 108 with the camera and the mount on there, and it only ran 107 with just that on there. So anywho, then the door itself was cracked right here, so I had to go ahead and just use a little paper tape and just a little ribbon of hot glue, just kind of hold that together. So that's working again. This is the worst part. The bridge right here was broken that the landing gear pushes on. So again, the only extra material I use here is I have paper tape, hot glue, and I have a piece of popsicle stick as a spine going across the bottom there. But just paper tape and hot glue that together, and now it works just fine. It doesn't come completely, yeah, it does. It comes completely down enough. And then the other major problem was the landing gear here was all geeked out, so I had to take the entire landing assembly out, had to take this assembly apart. Inside here is a screw that actually works off the servo motor that spins, and then this thing has a metal block that rides on it, and then here is like two little C-cups, so this metal block goes in there, and as the screw works back and forth, it causes the landing gear to go up and down. Well, the screw was bent, so instead of searching for one, which I'm sure I had, I basically just took a pair of pliers, needle nose, and a paper towel. I wrapped around the paper towel, and then put the needle nose on it, just tried to squeeze it straight, slowly rotate it, squeeze it straight, slowly rotate it, squeeze it straight, just kind of keep doing that. It seems to have worked on that small part. The only thing I needed to do after that was, during my testing, I needed to add a little WD-40, so I went with the WD-40 dry lube. So I went with the WD-40 dry lube, which is this product right here. So it doesn't drip out, that kind of thing. It's almost like spray out like a bar soap, almost type of consistency. So anyway, that's got a good lube in there. And then that works, and then also the front landing gear and all that works fine. I didn't have any problems there. So reassembled all that, got the door back on, got this door fixed, fixed the bridge, which was the major problem, and then from there everything seems to be working fine. So what we did was, after this particular repair level was completed, I went ahead and took it to my airfield, quote unquote, back of the building there, and did some test flights with it, with some touch and goes to make sure my landing gear worked well. So if you want to see that, well, guess what? I'm showing you that right now. All right, so anywho, well, there's that. That is the F4, and I just wanted to bring it out here today and make sure everything worked, and it seems like it did, so we're good to go. We're done for today. Time to go back and do some touch-up paint on it and see how that all works. So that may be later in this video. If so, stick around. All right, friends, here we are. We're back. Hope you enjoyed that video. So now we're back at the repair station. So I wanted to go ahead and show you a little bit of kind of that repair process of what I did with the Phantom F4. So start off, I've got a busted up Aero Scout wing, which has got some pretty decent damage on it. Have some foam that's recoverable, so we'll try to work with that. Have some cracking, so we'll need to work with that. Servo still connected, so we'll need to take that apart, or at least take that off. And then got some damage here, some pretty heavy damage there. Nice missing piece there. And then we also have some other surface things, which normally I won't use paper tape and hot glue on because it's a top surface. So in a situation like this, I'll make sure all the other repairs are done, and then I'll bring in basically some drywall light spackle or lightweight spackle or drywall mud or whatever, little white foamy stuff, fill these in, because I'm going to have to do some sanding and melting down anyway, so at least I'll do that last and then put my primer on. So we're not going to worry about that right here, but when I do that, I can tell you that I usually use the, I think it's made by DAP, D-A-P, and I think it's a little white container with a yellow lid, a little small plastic container, but it's the lightweight spackle, but it has fibers in it. So kind of like carbon fiber and just like with the paper tape, when you use the hot glue, you've got a fiber element in there that's also being bonded to your repair. So that's what I particularly use on something like that, but just a little lightweight drywall, fix holes in the wall spackle stuff, but it happens to have a little bit of fiber in it. So look for that. But anyway, so that's what we got here. So first off, I won't worry about taking off that servo just yet. We're not really getting into the part where it needs to be performed. Plus this seat, as you can see, is also off. So it's not going to damage it any more than that for what I'm doing. So first off, let's just go ahead and start off with a little corner repair here. Let me show you what we've got. So I'm just going to take any number of my cutting items, but we'll just go with a little red knife here. And I just need a little bit of a corner. So let's just go corner. And of course I don't need that whole piece, so there you go, little corner action. Okay, and as you can see, it doesn't fit perfectly or anything like that, but when you push it in, since it is that foam, look at that, you do get a nice little finish there. So all we need to do is get that seat up in there. Easiest way to do that and a quickest repair, I'm going to put a bead of this hot glue, which is on the hottest setting, right in the middle. You can see how the hot glue immediately starts to melt that foam a little bit. So we use that seam, push that mofo. Look at that. See how before it was resisting? Now it's melting that foam. It's seating it right up in there. So we'll put it in the position we want it. And I think if we adjust that a little more like this. Okay. We got a little bit of a hole gap there. I'm not going to worry about that because this will take a little paper tape over it as well. But I think as far as the actual geometry of getting this corner, I think we are pretty close. And of course, since I got it on the hottest setting, you can manipulate it here quite a bit. But I think that'll do. All right, so we'll give that a second to set. But that's basically one corner with the foam in place. And now from here, as you can see, it's got an offset, so we'll just come along here with my cutting tools and cut those flat as possible. Then we'll wrap some paper tape on that. This little monstrosity right here, oh my goodness. To be honest with you, it's almost be better to take that off and repair it individually. Because at least that way, try to flatten that out a little bit here. Okay. Alright. Alright, so that looks a little better. Still a little on the askew side, but look, that looks better. Okay. This is why you try to save your pieces if you can. But you do need to flatten them out sometimes for them to make sense. Puzzle pieces also always make the most sense when they're flat and from the same puzzle. So yeah. So that's how we'll do that. So in a repair like that, I don't really want to melt the foam, so I'll go ahead and kick that down to a lower setting, give that a couple of seconds to set up, cool down. And then from there, I can just do the hot glue, push it in place, hold it kind of thing. And it looks like it may not be a bad idea. Go ahead and have some of that tape ready. Since we're using the same part, we're not going to be dealing with a size overage or width issue. So let's get a little piece of this ready to go. About the length of the part. And we'll put it on the bottom, because that'll be the easiest to hide. At the same time, we're going to try to bend these pieces down now that they're stuck to tape. Okay. And then what we do is when we come in here, we hot glue it. And how you do that is you hot glue it. Now that it's on tape, you hot glue this piece on the tape line. Okay, so you don't have to worry about it dripping off or anything like that as well, which is why the tape is just a little bit wider than the piece. But you hot glue it on the tape line. And you come up from underneath, set it in place, flip it over, smush down the tape line. Okay, so that's how you do that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do a little glue here. Tape line. Okay, just like that. Coming from underneath, wiggle them on up in there. All right, push it in, pull it out there, push it in here. All right, once we get that about set, set, then we go ahead and hold the tape down. And with the tape in place, you don't really have to worry too much about hot glue squirting out on your fingers, because the tape takes the heat, the brunt of the heat from you. All right, so we got that like that, flipped over. Now we'll go ahead and use my flat card again, kind of hold it in place there. We'll go ahead and count to 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so there we go. Nice and flat on the bottom, decently flat on the top. And then this extra little piece right here, it looks like no, that's actually the notch that comes in the Aero Scout. No, it's not. This is the notch. Is this also the notch? I'll have to take a look and see. But right now, we'll just fold over the paper tape into that crevice. And there we go. Technically, that repair alone will allow the Aero Scout to fly. So, that's cool. All right, let's go back to this one. This one's nice and cool now. Okay, so we're gonna, oops. I'm gonna do my throwing a box knife trick. There we go. Always push the box knife toward the repair if you can. All right, don't throw those pieces away. You may use them again in here in a second. Okay. All right. See what we got here. Now I know we still got a little bit of a gap there, but the structure's there. So we'll do a little box tape, and that's almost wide enough, but not quite. So what we'll do is we'll fold over actually. So come on down about where this repair starts on top. Fold that like that. From there, fold this over. All right. Fold this over. All right. All right. Now, look at that. And yes, it does stick out a little on the side, but you can easily fix that with a zip, zip, or even a zip. But there you go. That's basically the exact type of repair I did with the F4. So now when you hit this, right now it's pretty sturdy. Once you hit it with some hot glue, like it is. So we just do a little drop, boop, and then use the gun to smear it around. Okay. And this is the exact type of repair I did with the F4. All right. And then, doop. Okay. And remember, we still had that hole right there in that foam where it didn't quite meet the other foam. Watch that concern become a issue of the past. All right. So go ahead and let that dry a little bit. When that dries, it'll be as firm as that foam. Still a little tacky. All right. Okay. Now, if you wanted to get right back out in the field, like, oh, I know that repair will hold, but I'm worried about it. Well, that's where your paper tape comes in. So what do you say we do a little, well, we already got tape on the bottom, so we don't really need that big of a piece. But since we're here, we'll do something like this. All right. Come in with your repair here, and then straight across. Okay. See what we're dealing with there? All right. Now that would be jam up repair. Doer. All right. And as you can notice, I'm just using very little hot glue. Not trying to add much weight here. You don't need much hot glue when you're using this paper tape. You just need enough glue to get into the tape and let it make a difference. All right. Speaking of making a difference, remember that corner I did a second ago? Who likes that? Who likes that? You gotta like that. Paper tape and hot glue, baby. Did you see it deform while I was flicking it? No, you didn't. So here we go. Same kind of thing here. Here's my repair. Not bad. Not bad at all. All right, cool. So there you go. That's basically how I do most of my immediate repairs. And then from there, like I said, I'll use the spackle and stuff and things to fill in, stuff like that. Smooth out all the orange peel, you know, everything I got going on with this. But this is a perfect one to show you a good repair technique on. Now you can technically use the hot glue and stuff here and the paper tape if you didn't really care. You just wanted to fix that hole. So you could do a couple of things. You could do something like this. And I recommend cutting the pieces in kind of a little odd shape, not straight squares, so they don't look so mechanical. A little drop of hot glue on the paper. All right, not on the foam itself, just the paper. Drop that bad boy in that hole. Push a little corner down, and then come back with your card. All right, and then just flatten her down. Flatten her down, Captain. All right, there you go. And now you got a fixed hole, and as you can see, that's pretty flat. So that does a pretty good job with something like that. So if you didn't want to worry about, oh, I don't want that to expand into a crack, or you want to fix something like this here, or something like that here. Again, with something like this, you may want to go with, you know, a little bit of a foam insert to span that to go ahead and get some rigidity. Here, same kind of thing. Paper tape and hot glue right here. Boop. Put it on the paper. Boop. About the size of the hole. Don't have to be exact. And then again, send it over the hole. That. Take the card. Push it down. Alright. Pull it out. Fold him over. There you go. Flat. And that now that hole will never, the plane will never break again in that hole or that hole. or that hole. This probably won't break off again. It's pretty sturdy. It's just as flexible as the foam itself. But this works really well. Like you got some structural integrity issue here with this wing, so you can do the same thing. Hot glue, paper tape the crack itself, then just smooth out the paper tape. You're good to go there. But there you go, friends. There's some repair techniques with just the same 3 items: the hot glue, paper tape. The only extra thing I added in a repair was that little piece of popsicle stick I put on the bottom of that Phantom F4 bridge there for the front landing gear. But besides that, that's pretty much how I do those repairs. That makes these repairs nice and stiff, makes them workable, and then you can come along if you really want to smooth this out, wrap tinfoil over this, come along with a heat iron, smooth out things like that if you wanted to smooth them down. Of course, it won't smooth down much more than the paper itself, but that's why I like to use something like this, because you're smoothing it down right on contact, and that's as good as it's going to get. And you can sand over this because of the paper. You can't really sand over the hot glue, but the paper itself will sand, so that helps out. And since the hot glue is going through the paper, you can sand up some of that. But like this repair right here, you know how smooth that is. That's perfect. So anyway, so there you go. There's some techniques on that. Foam wire cutters, we'll do an episode on that next time. People make a lot of these. This is just a simple craft job. Again, you just plug it, set your distance in meters, or your distance from the pins there, and then basically just with a hot wire, you just cut into stuff. Making templates and stuff like that, you can make different shapes and all. But for this type of repair, you don't need to go that elaborate. You really just need something to cut some pieces with so that you can stick them in there, and then from there cut them flush, and then from there smooth them down with the hot glue gun. So there you go. That's how I do that repair. And let me go ahead and clean this up real quick, and we'll go ahead and do an outro. There we go, friends. All right, all cleaned up and back to my end of the video here. So I hope you liked that. I hope you learned a little something. I hope you enjoyed the video of the F4 doing its touch and goes, which I don't do a lot of, but with this particular plane and the landing gear issues, I felt it needed it. So I hope you enjoyed that. Always cockpit view from the Insta360 on this bird is the sweetest. So always very cool. And I hope you learned something, and maybe you want to start experimenting with your own planes and making foam mounts and things of that nature to get some things with some pontoons on it, or to do something different, put some mounts on some planes to launch gliders off of or something. Who knows? I've got things coming. We'll see. Speaking of things coming, I have the, let's see here. Oh, there's that knife. Speaking of things coming, I also have the PT-17 Spitfire that I did. So got the test flight coming with that bad boy soon, and have the Insta360 go up here in a movable position so it can catch the pilot or the front there. So we'll be looking to be flying that bad boy here soon with that pretty sweet engine detail and things like that. So yeah, pretty fun. So we'll be looking to do that. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and get subscribed if you want to see some of that. Or if you just liked what we did here and learned something, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. I certainly do appreciate it, and I will always tell you that. So until next time, I am Dave. This is the e-flite Phantom F4. This is the e-flite FT Night Radian. These are my crafting tools when I do repairs, and I do a lot of them. And these are the repairs that I've done in the particular process, as well as the sampling on that Aero Scout wing. So next I'll do some more touch-up on this. Go ahead and smooth this out, get it repainted in some areas. Maybe do some other cool stuff with it. Maybe put the armament on it as well. But for now, I appreciate your views, appreciate your subscriptions, and really look forward to you coming back here real soon. So until next time, I am Dave. These are the birds. These are the crafts. And that's what comes out of my mind. And until next time, we are out of here.
Nice.